Okay, if you're just joining us, our discussions are starting now. Let me quickly introduce my guests. And luckily for us here, we don't have any army robber. Either army robber, Fantapain, or whichever. None here. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Let me quickly introduce them formally. Mr. Ade Ebimobi is joining us for discussions this morning. He's an economist. He's Chief Executive Officer, Foreign Direct Investment Brokers. Good to see you. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you very much.
Mr. Tope Fasua, you know him too well. He's a regular face on when it has to do with money.
Wow.
You must see him around. Money show and all of that. Tope Fasua is an economist. He is a CEO of Global Analytics. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Mr. B.
All right. Mr. Abibo.
Thank you.
Ordinarily, when the National Assembly says it wants to amend an existing law, we all should support it, or stakeholders should have interest. But the interest that this attempt by the CBN to, the National Assembly to amend the CBN Act, the interest, most write-ups that I've read have clearly condemned the National Assembly. Can we do a historical background to this? Does the National Assembly attempt have anything to do with the constant face-off between the loquacious CBN governor?
Thank you very much. I'm not surprised at the responses of the Nigerian masses, most especially people like us from the financial sector. You'll recall that for quite a while now, the CBN governor have been having a running battle with the National Assembly. But that's not to take away the idea behind the amendment of the CBN Act, the beauty of it, if it didn't have to do with the contents of the amendments. The National Assembly, especially this particular 7th National Assembly, has been doing fantastically well in some of its oversight functions. But unfortunately, I personally, as an economist, I think right now they're overreaching. Trying to amend the CBN Act to a point where the headship of the board of the CBN will be taken away from the governor of the CBN. It's patently dangerous, because the CBN is not just a government agency. This is the apex bank of the country. It is the bank to the federal government. It is the bank that determines the monetary policies of this country, not just for the federal government, for the entire country.
It's a bank that cannot afford to be politicized.
Absolutely not.
Because a lot of people have also read politics into what is going on.
Absolutely not. You can't bring politics into the CBN. Agreed. The CBN, as an agent of government, needs to be scrutinized. But we have to separate scrutiny from meddling.
Okay. Scrutiny and meddling are two different things.
Absolutely.
I will note that. I'll come back to it shortly. Tope, what's your own reading of what is going on in the National Assembly? Is it an attempt to settle scores? Let's cut this man to size. Let's clip his wings for good.
Well, I think, thank you very much for that question, Mr. Binga. I think to a large extent, yeah, that is what it is. You know, we as a people, we're quite emotional people. And then we also express ourselves. You know, I mean, you don't compare us with maybe the Brits who would actually have a lot of things in there. And then, you know, but here we express ourselves. And perhaps the other time I was being asked, why is the CBN governor not a taciturn person? Why doesn't he keep quiet? And all those kind of things. But then again, we have to look at our culture. I think that we need more people who will speak up in this country. I think part of the problem we have is because most people decide not to speak up. Nobody wants to get into trouble. Of course, when you speak up, then you get into trouble. In fact, the only way you will not get into trouble is if you don't say anything. If you don't say anything, if you don't write anything, then you will not be misconstrued. But the moment you begin to speak up and act up and do the things that you think you believe in, you'll be shocked at the kind of responses you get from the world. And that's the way it is. But however, this is a trajectory in history. Should we have a CBN governor that expresses himself and says, this is what I believe in, or should we have one that locks himself in his ivory tower? I mean, of course, you can even see the example from Alan Greenspan, who was very taciturn. And every time Alan Greenspan spoke, people were saying, what did he mean by we will increase interest rate? Then you say, oh, what is will? Why did he not use shall increase? You know? And then, but however, look at where it ended up. Greenspan himself was embarrassed. By the time people came and said, look, you did not supervise this industry the way you should. People lost money all around the world. The market collapsed everywhere. So, but that said, you know, let's all look at which would you
think is better? A taciturn CBN governor,
in my view,
or one that speaks every time? So that stakeholders like you can know the drift of the CBN,
exactly.
And then you can engage him
exactly.
if you think he's wrong.
Exactly. I'll say half and half. I'll be somewhere in between. We want someone who speaks up, not someone who locks in his ivory tower. I don't know. I'm not going to comment about Sanusi as a person. He's entitled to his own style as a person, whether he wants to speak up or not. And, you know, maybe you're going to have another CBN governor coming after him. The approach may be totally different. You understand? So we do not, I think the problem now is this: if you want to, like, come down with a sledgehammer on this fly and say, you know, what happens when he's gone? If you destroy the CBN as an entity just because you don't like the face of the current CBN governor or you don't like his style. But mind you, let's even look at the style. This style, let's look at the fact that some of the observations he has made, however controversial, has led to people reviewing their salaries downwards in this country. It has led to more scrutiny in this country. Okay, and the country, me and you, as common men on the street, anyway, you are not a common man anyway, but someone like me, I'm a common man. You see, me and you, we have sort of gained from some of those controversial statements. Where say, the National Assembly is spending 25. Ask the National Assembly if they have not reduced some of their allowances and emoluments since that time. They have. So you see, maybe we need people like that to throw themselves in the fray. People who take those kind of risks. So indeed, I would say that it's 80% skewed towards this so-called vengeance of going after. However, that's how it started, you know. Of course, some of the ideals, you know, are sort of kind of laudable, but we cannot decide to damage that institution today. In fact, I dare say that the more independent institutions we have in this country, the better. The National Assembly itself is fighting for its own independence of thought. If you look at the first subsidy thing, and people will say, oh, maybe my president will not use it, maybe we use it, maybe we will not use it. And even some of the presidential spokesmen have come in the past and say, look, it's just a Boy Scout thing. It's just an expedition, an advice, whatever, at best. And the National Assembly say, no, we are serious about this. We did a lot of work. Okay, on it. They are fighting for their own independence. If we have an independent judiciary, independent central bank, independent National Assembly, that's the kind of thing we want in this country, because it's about the institution, not the person.
Okay. Mr. Abiyomi, I will take you back to two key words you used earlier. Scrutiny and meddling are two different things.
Absolutely.
Now, in the course of preparing for this discussion, I quickly try to see what the situation is in some other climes. I even noticed that in some other climes, their central bank, their CBN, or in some cases they are called Reserve Bank, their operations are entrenched in their constitution.
Absolutely.
Like in South Africa. I read about the South Africa Reserve Bank, which is the equivalent of their own central bank, has its freedom and autonomy enshrined in the South African constitution. In other words, is cast in
gold.
Well, gold is native to South Africa, so let's say it's cast in gold. But is gold easy to break?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so it's cast in gold.
Yeah.
But that is not the situation we have in our situation. We have our own central bank, just a product of an act. Is that why the National Assembly feels that it's easy for them to look in that direction and do what they have to do?
It shouldn't even be easy for them, and they shouldn't even go that route. Because the independence and the autonomy of any central bank is sanctimonious. They should not, at any time, try to break that independence. When we talked about scrutiny earlier on, yes, the central bank can be scrutinized. The central bank should be scrutinized. But you should not meddle in the affairs and the operations of the central bank, because the central bank is more or less a professional entity. It is not like the Ministry of Interior or Ministry of Information. Everywhere in the world, including America, Australia, UK, in fact, the entire European, the entire world, the central bank has an independence that is unquestionable, that cannot, that should not be broken. He was talking earlier on about the personal fight between the CBN governor and the National Assembly. That should not come in at this point. Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, in respect to him, the CBN is greater than the sum total of 1 million Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi. You cannot destroy the CBN's independence and its ability to perform effectively simply because you want to fight one man. In another 2 years, Sanusi will finish his term. Sanusi will go. The CBN will remain. So if you've destroyed the institution now by seeking to take away its independence and its autonomy, what now happens when Sanusi leaves? It is not done anywhere. It is not
bring in an Okechukwu.
That would now let's even look at the letters of the amendments that is seek. The Senate seeks an amendment where the CBN will be required to submit its budget to the National Assembly for scrutiny and approval. The central bank, it's an agency of government that makes its own money, does not rely on government allocations to perform. They make their own money and they are run very professionally. Okay. You cannot bring the CBN to bring its budget to the National Assembly like the other ministries and other agencies.
So the money the central bank spends, it doesn't come within the contemplation of Section 70 of the Constitution. It doesn't. Which is money accruing to the Federation.
It doesn't.
Cannot be spent unless appropriated.
It does not. It does not fall in that. Exactly. It does not fall within that ambit. The money that the CBN makes is made to run the operations of the CBN. I listened to Senator Ena yesterday where he said that he was questioning where the central bank got the money that the CBN governor used to donate to donated to the Boko Haram. For crying out loud, the CBN has a budget for CSR.
CSR? Community
corporate social responsibility. Why are you questioning this? This is a part of their operations. It is not done anywhere. Now, we cannot forget the fact that the National Assembly at this point is actually doing too much. The financial sector of this country needs to be strong at this point. The probe that they did on the fuel subsidy, it's great. Everybody loved it. But see how they modeled up the Securities and Exchange Commission probe. They are talking about probing the CBN. Probe, by its meaning, is negative. It connotes fraud. Now, if you're going to tell the entire world that your CBN is fraudulent, how do you expect the financial world to see you? The human answer say, oh, okay, the CBN, the government's bank, if it can be fraudulent, then we can't trust the Nigerian government. Then what are the potential foreign investors going to think about us? What are the people who already have investment here going to think about us? You can't use the word probe in line with the CBN. Perhaps you may want to probe or investigate Sanusi. You may want to probe and investigate Mohalu. You may want to probe and investigate an individual person at the CBN. But you can't say you want to probe the CBN. By the nature of we Nigerians, by the nature of the word probe in this country, it connotes fraud. You cannot associate fraud with the CBN.